the Bolsheviks, their enemies who vote for it. Open up the border, let the boats with the homeless in. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the consequence. Cheers to the champagne socialists. No regret when they vote them in. So intense when they sow this in. Bodies on the floor, they don't notice them. None of you heard about the gulag. Stop for their food farms barred in the gulags. The train left the station with a choo-choo. Nothing worse than the smile when they shoot you. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Never trust a commie. Let's congratulate Mr. Mamdani. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons. Never trust the communists. Never trust the promises. If you vote for it, you won't forget the cons.
I doubt any of you understand just how absolutely disgusted I am tonight. I've witnessed generational evil. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But as we begin episode 58, Mr. Durkon, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am, of course, Isaiah Carter. Nino Sabio is running a little bit behind. He's taking care of something at the moment, and he'll be joining us sometime in around 7:20 is when he'll be dropping in. There's been so much that's happened in the last 72 hours. We had the greatest UFC spectacle ever put on at UFC Freedom 250. And then we had the total immolation of Barack Obama, really the Obama's entire legacy. That's coming very soon. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving individual, in my opinion. And then we had, we'll be discussing the Pakistani Muslim rape gangs. That situation over in the UK right now. Yeah, it's been that kind of day. It has been that kind of day. This is going to be one of those shows where I might just blow a fucking gasket. But hopefully we'll have some laughs along the way. Again, if you want to follow us on X, you can do so individually at Isaiah L. Carter or at Nino Sabio X on X, which honestly is the greatest platform for free speech. I don't care what anybody says. Elon Musk single-handedly saved humanity by releasing speech from the grips of communists, from the grips of global communists at that. Apostate Radio NY is, of course, the show X handle. You get all your information about what, who guests we're going to have on the show, what time we start. Yes, we are here on Tuesday nights officially, 7 p.m. Eastern. Been quite an experience doing the show on Tuesday. It's been great. It's actually freed us up a little bit to explore, have some more guests on, we've had some great guests come on in the last few weeks that we've done it on Tuesdays, and we hope that continues. If you like, your subscriptions are available at $5 a month on my personal page. Working on a little bit of a package for subscribers. You will be able to get your questions asked. If you are a subscriber to my X account, we'll make sure I want to do a better job this summer of taking better care of this of my subscribers. Give you more bang for the buck, as it were. And then, of course, if you want Apostate Radio merch, you can go on to realtimeinc.com/collections/apostate-radio. Shout to my little brother Josh and his lovely wife Keisha, my sister-in-law. That is their company, Real Time Inc. Great. They make great shirts, especially for the USA 250, for America's 250th birthday. Make sure you get your merch there. And because we are almost there. We are almost at eligibility on YouTube for Super Chats. We are 20 public watch hours away from 3,000, which is where we need to get to for Super Chats. In the meantime, if you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at the Apostate Radio Venmo. You can see the QR code in the top left corner of your screen. This is going to be the I guess the I Need a Car Fund, basically. So coming to us live is a man I deeply respect. He is probably more of an anti-communist than I am, which would be fitting given how well read he is. I mean, you should see this guy's you will see this guy's library. Mr. Durkan says SPLC has been indicted. Oh, okay. Well, there we go. And Ellen was here. Hi, Isaiah. Hey, Ellen, great to see you. Thanks for joining us. This guy has been a bit of a mentor to me. He has helped me see things from a much deeper perspective when it comes to anti-communism, and also more or less the morals of voting. I found that very interesting. Over the years, he has given me he gave me one book from Ayn Rand about individualism and selfishness as a virtue. And let's just say we're going to need a lot of that in the coming years. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my great friend, Mr. William Beck. Where are you? There we go.
There we are.
How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, I don't even know yet. It's too soon to tell. You know what I mean? You tell me, man. So, like, how fast is it all going to hell now? I haven't been paying attention in the last 3 weeks. I've been living out of my own catastrophes over here, and they're finally getting squared away.
Oh, okay. I mean, we talked a bit about the car situation. You got a pretty nice. No.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm just shaking my head at the whole damn thing. It's been a grinding misery for weeks now, and it's finally over.
Well,
There's some bits and pieces to touch up, but it's coming together well.
I gotcha. You are quite possibly one of the most interesting men in the world. And seeing as this is your first time on Apostate Radio with us, hopefully not the last, I would like to give you a few minutes, a minute or two, to introduce yourself to my audience and tell people who you are and what you are about.
Thanks for having me, Isaiah. Really happy to be here. I'm an all-American kid who grew up in the mid-20th century, looked for America to fulfill its potential open to human beings as the last place on earth where that could really happen. I barely got out of high school with my own ass because I didn't care. You couldn't have dragged me through a university with a gun at my head. Broke my parents' hearts for a long time because I went into staging rock shows, rock and roll shows.
Yeah.
I grew up in bars, starving as a hippie in the old days. Okay, living in an apartment with a bunch of other guys who did the same thing, and we dragged ourselves all around in clubs for many years. More than I had to now that I look back on it, but it was not a bad way to grow up professionally, and kept looking for bigger work, and eventually toured America and a lot of the world on rock shows for 43 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I did for a living. So when, if you ever went to a concert and looked up at the lights and watched cats climbing around on that stuff and doing what they do, that's what we did for a living across America for weeks and months at a time. And it was really interesting. I love that work.
Wow.
If I could walk out my door right now onto an active stage, I would. It's the difference between getting there and being there,
Well, you still get on stage every now and then. No, I mean you've got probably one of the greatest guitar collections I've ever seen.
Oh, well, mine is really nothing. There's some people out there who are really, really serious about it. I've got a few nice items here. I was a player. I've always been an amateur player, but I was a professional lighting director. That's what I did. I fell in love with lights. Light is one of the most predictable things in the universe. There's no bullshit in it, right? It's easy to work with in a world that's, atomizing right in front of my eyes, right? That kind of thing. I really, really enjoyed the technology of it. And watched it move from what it was when I was running a 6-lamp club show to, what we see today.
Oh, wow.
All the way through that. And I got to work with some very cool people. I was privileged to be around some really good production work and loved it every minute. Okay. So along the way, I never stopped studying. All right. By the 8th grade, I realized that nobody in school had anything to teach me. That was 1969. Okay, that far back. My father was coming up on a decision whether or not to stay in the Air Force, and he somehow, I don't know where the real intellectual roots of it were, but he somehow found his way toward libertarian thinking, and that's a worn out term these days now, a half century later. But he was definitely of an individualist ethics and politics. Okay. And very deeply rooted in the principles and ideals of the American Revolution. And in the late 60s, he came across some, writings by, for instance, a libertarian writer and economist named Robert Lefebvre. He attended a seminar at the University of Hawaii in '69 with Lefebvre, and I was 13 years old. And many, many years later, toward the end of his life, he told me, "I wish I had brought you to that because you would have understood it."
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
wow.
We discussed it many times. He had great memories of Lefebvre and corresponded with him personally. So anyway, that was like the roots of libertarianism in the family as it came down to me, and I endorsed it with all the brain power I could put into it. And I wasn't a dedicated student. There was nothing programmed in my studying. Okay, like I said, especially after high school, I was over it. I get this. I didn't. I failed algebra halfway through that year in the first semester. Failed it spectacularly because I didn't care. We had this terrible ass teacher, and I was content that people could do algebra, and if that were ever necessary in my life, I'd go find it. Okay. Didn't even attempt geometry. Somehow got out of high school without either one of them. About 15 years, about 10 years later, I started programming home computers and high level languages like BASIC. Okay. And I looked at variables and went, oh, okay, there it is. That's algebra. Cool. Got that hacked. Right. And about 5 years after that, I got a chance to draw, in with the computers and with AutoCAD. All right. Computer assisted design and drafting. It was a fantastic opportunity. I sat right down and jumped into it. And the more I worked with it, I went, wait a minute, coplanar surfaces. That's geometry. Here it is. So it didn't mean anything to me until it came up in my life and I needed it. That's what happened to me. Right. So I knew what I was doing when I didn't care about what I was seeing in public education.
I got you.
Right. This hooked right up with my dad's politics, and I never stopped reading for the rest of my life, although I've slowed down lately. And it was all political science, philosophy, economics, all of it.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. So I'm sure
history.
I'm sure you've got like some Herbert von Mises or something in there in that pile of books you got.
Yeah. You mean Ludwig? Yeah.
Ludwig von Mises. Where did Herbert come from?
I don't know. I do that too sometimes. You that old ass over here.
Hey man. Hey.
This is my human action with notes in the back of it. Right.
Oh wow.
Like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a lot of Mises and Hayek. This is Hayek in political philosophy up here, but he's in economics down behind me over here as well.
Oh wow,
stuff like that. Yeah, the library's a mess.
A beautiful mess.
I kind of know where everything is in it, mostly.
Oh, okay. So the origins. So it's wonderful to hear about the origins of your of where you come from politically. Would you describe yourself as a libertarian, or would you describe yourself as something a little bit more than that?
You know what? It dawned on me about 10 years ago to stop talking about things like this in terms of group affiliations and deal more in principles that explain the integration of the philosophy, and leave it to anyone hearing it to make up their own minds what they might think of it.
I got you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes sense. I sometimes have those conversations with my wife.
What do you mean?
No, in terms of like, so sometimes like my wife and I, we have some pretty like heady conversations.
Good.
And sometimes, and we actually end up talking about political stuff all the time. Somehow, that's a lot. Sometimes, that can be a bit detrimental. At least that's what some people would say, is that it could be detrimental to a marriage. In our particular case, it works. But like, she is my wife's name is Kareen. She is very much averse to labels. Very much averse to labels. Doesn't like any labels. Doesn't like putting them on. It's just like this is what I believe. If you ask me, I'll tell you. And pretty much, and just like you, just kind of lets it just hang. Whether
there is. Go ahead.
No, I mean, sometimes it's frustrating for me because at times it's frustrating for me because I do think in terms, I use groups, I use grouping terminologies to help myself understand some of these people, and maybe that's because of like coming out of liberalism for so long, like coming out. Well, I shouldn't say liberalism, coming out of leftism, mild leftism, as I did. So that's kind of a habit that's still there. But I
think that's a really fine point. I really think that's a very fine point, because there is a place in the world for concepts and their implications. All right. This is not an extreme example. We all know that communists exist, right?
Yeah.
There's commies out there.
Now
we know that by their adherence to a certain set of ideas, right? That all makes sense to me. But when it comes to how casually some of these terms and labels, now we call them that kind of for a good reason, is it's because it's so casually drawn now. People are just tossing these things around without really thinking about what they mean, and using that confusion to malevolent purpose while they're at it. Things like that. There is a definite cynicism when it comes to so-called labels versus a reasonable identification of a set of ideals in a bunch of people. Does that make sense? There are good reasons for that, Isaiah. That's for what you're thinking about there.
So I'm going to bring up my my esteemed co-host, my brother, coming from the land of a Pete's, and he is still in full Knicks gear. Is that a Knicks gear? Yeah, he's in full Knicks gear. He's the Brunson egg and cheese enjoyer. What's going on,
Brunson
bro?
burner. Campeones, campeones, oe, oe, oe. I don't know if any Knicks fans were singing that yet, but I just did. Shout out to the New York Knicks, man.
Yo, shout to the Knicks, man. Say hello. Yes, well deserved. I do want to give a shout out because, golly, like Victor Wembanyama was exposed as a dirtbag in that game. Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit. Billy,
we'll talk about that later. But I want to say hi to Billy. Hey, Billy, nice to meet you, brother. It's Nino.
Good to see you, Nino.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that bling, man.
Oh well,
I need a bling. I need a little. We just wear bling around the house. I need a little bling like that, man. I feel a little naked right now. But nice library too back there. But you got a lot of books out here. It's good.
Thank you. We were just banging around about that. How do you feeling, man? Listen, man, I don't follow the game real close, but I hear the Knicks put on a hell of a show.
Knicks had one of the best playoff runs ever, I think, right? I mean, they went on like a 10-game, what was it? Something like that. 10 games, 12 games unbeaten streak?
It was 13 unbeaten.
And then they lost one to San Antonio, and then they finished it.
Right, exactly.
So,
wow.
That's incredible.
They came back in game 3. The Knicks came back from a 29-point deficit to win.
They never led until the last 30 seconds,
minute or something. Something like that. Yeah,
3 minutes in the fourth
minute
quarter.
or 30 seconds. Yeah, and then they had two of the biggest comebacks ever. One was against Cleveland as well. That was the big one. Before that was like game 2, I think. And Cleveland was up like 22 points in like late in the third quarter, something like that. Hey, Ellen. And that's why I didn't turn the game off with that. That was a game 3, game 4 against the Spurs, because I was like, I've seen him come back from a lot, from a good amount. So they might do it again. They did.
I'm glad you got to enjoy that, man. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. My inner child, like when I had my heart broken by the Knicks when I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. Actually, maybe about was it 93 or 94 when they were in the finals against Olajuwon and the Rockets? 94 maybe. So maybe I was about 10. And then I got my heart broken again in 99. It's Sprewell, Houston, and Ewing. And then I kind of, like a year or two after, I really stopped watching basketball for a long time, and I jumped back on the bandwagon last year. So so I'm happy for him. I'm definitely a super casual fan, but during the playoffs I was very dedicated to watching.
Yeah.
Last 2 years. So
I married into the fandom. I married in because
I'm from the area. I've been supporting since I was little. I could celebrate. Kiss my ass.
So, real quick, Billy, real quick. Ellen asked, "Are you related to Jeff Beck?"
No, I'm not. No, I never even got to meet Jeff. I don't think.
Oh wow! And then, real quick, Marie Isabella, who's a friend of the show.
Hey,
Great
Marie.
to see you. Thank you for joining
Hey,
us.
Marie.
Yeah, just dropping in to listen for a bit. Well, we're glad to have you, my love. Thank you so much for being here. And Ronald Eith III says, on the bright side, the World Cup is in full swing and a blast. Yeah,
that's why I got my U.S. flag bandana back there, and I was going to wear my jersey today, but figured to give the Knicks one more episode.
There you go,
as their champs. But from now on, it's going to be USA jerseys every week. So I don't know if Billy. I don't know if you watch the soccer at all, but the United States is pretty good right now.
No, I had never actually watched much soccer.
Not one soccer game. Oh man.
No, you know what I mean. It catches these highlights on X every now and then. I'm like, all right, good. I'm glad y'all are having a good time. I'm over here watching baseball, which is actually a head game. But you carry on, y'all. You know. I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see everybody's having such a good time, especially enjoying the foreigners who arrive here and are getting a good look at America. I love seeing that.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
great.
Been good. That has been good.
It has been,
especially like the UK. Like you see all these people from the UK, and they come to the States, and they're just like, oh my god, everything's just so big.
That's a proper burger, yeah. A proper hamburger,
right? Exactly.
Can I tell you a brief work story about that? I got picked to do to work on the lights for the first tour of America by a repertory company of the Bolshoi Ballet. This was 1989.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so like that's 2 years before the wall falls. We got the premier ballet company of America in the Soviet Union touring America for the first time. They went into mall mode the second they landed, and they didn't stop shopping for 6 weeks. It was an amazing thing to see. Those Russians, those Soviets.
Where they get the money? Where they get the money to do that?
These are huge. Ballet is like sport in Russia. It always has been.
So they're one of the few people in the Soviet Union that made a little bit of money.
Well, they were yeah. I mean, when it comes to that, we could have that discussion. I don't know, but I mean, this is a huge state-sponsored tour, right? It was like the Politburo was all the way behind this, right? And so there were stars. There were like two principal dancers were huge stars. I can't remember their names. I'd have to dig around. We could go look them up. Maximov and what's her name? I don't know. Ekaterina. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And so every day they walked into the show carrying more stuff. I don't know how they got it all home, but it was wild to see their eyes opening to what America was. It was coast to coast for 6 weeks. Right. So we kind of got to know them. Right. I have a jacket around here. It's right over there with a cheap little Soviet pin on the collar of this leather jacket. It was pinned on that collar by the wardrobe mistress of the touring company. She was this little Russian woman, about 4'5". Okay. In her 80s. In her 80s, we're like working backstage, and we crossing paths, and she stopped me, pulled me down by the collar, pinned that pin on that jacket, and gave me a kiss on the cheek. And they couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Russian. It came to that, and that pin's been on that jacket since 1989. What's that, like 45 years or something, 35 years or some shit?
It's almost an antique.
So so we got to know them, all right, and to watch them tip to what America really was something to see.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that must be a cool thing to see.
It's the same kind of thing that we see going on now with the World Cuppers.
Except they were communists, so that's even more.
Well, culture clash. They had a long way to go. Yeah,
yeah. So that must have been pretty cool. Just like it reminds me of the Metallica. You ever seen a Metallica performance in Moscow, I believe it was, or somewhere in the Soviet Union, maybe not Moscow.
No, I
maybe
know
it was East Germany.
I'm not sure which one it is. I'm sure it's famous though. But,
Yeah, it was. It's like, I think there's like 1 million people there or something. There was like a huge or 500,000. It's like an outdoor concert, like a Woodstock type thing, and they had a shitload of Soviets there, and they're just going nuts while they're doing like
in uniform,
master
right?
puppets. Yeah. Some of them were in uniform. Yeah, some of them were like soldiers and stuff.
Bits of that. Yeah.
That's I think it was right before the wall fell, and like they just like was it not almost 100 years of communism or whatever, 80 years, 60 years, whatever it was. Just headbanging all that out, repression.
Nice.
Beautiful thing.
So where do we begin? Because there's so much to talk about. I want to get to, well, you know what, we could talk about the Michelle Obama thing first.
Wait, really? Does Michelle Obama have a thing? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Somebody fill me in here.
Well, let's just say that has been a bone of contention amongst a lot of now late Joan Rivers made that little joke and then cacked on the operating table mysteriously right afterwards, right? Real quick, Maria Isabella says, while I'm not a soccer fan, it's been great seeing Europeans love this country. I'd love to see other Americans find their love of this country, watching foreigners discover the magic of the U.S. I do agree with that. I agree.
I feel the same way.
But real quick, like what I've especially been heartened by are the South Africans. Like
I haven't seen that.
Farmers. Yeah, because Cyril Ramaphosa, that piece of shit over there, and they do that whole kill the Boer thing.
Yeah.
And
kill the Boer.
And then they come over here. They come over here and like terrible. They like one guy in particular just got right to farming. He just got right to doing what he was doing over there. And he's killing it. He makes great videos. I have to find one. All right.
Nice. Good. We could use some good farmers.
So for those who are not aware, this past Sunday there's so much happened on Sunday. We're talking about UFC Freedom 250, one of the greatest walkouts and performances of the national anthem, along with probably the most badass flyover. And I do have the video of all that. We can go through it a little bit.
Americans did well too, man.
Oh yeah.
Hokit, who we're about to talk about, Hokit won. He beat another American. I think the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. I'm pretty sure he's American as well.
Derek Lewis fought that night.
He fought Josh Hokit, who was the guy who mentioned Michelle Obama, and everybody's clutching their pearls and losing their minds over.
Oh wow!
His ass, and Derek Lewis is a bad motherfucker, but he beat his ass. Hokit's tough, man.
That's the problem. You know what? Just real quick, because I know we're not a sports show, ladies and gentlemen. I promise. But we're sports fans. Here's what pissed me with Derek Lewis. He's like the ultimate feast or famine guy. He's either beating the fuck out of people left and right or getting the fuck beat out of him.
He's knocked out a lot of people. I think he may have knocked out more people than anybody.
But bro, when he gets knocked out, it's like something you'd see in a video game. The way he gets blasted, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, this guy Hokit's good though, man. The guy who's causing all this ruckus. Just finish what I was saying before. O'Malley won. He's American. I think he beat. I forget where the guy was from. And then Gaethje had that big upset against
watch that.
Against Ilia Topuria from Spain and Georgia.
I gotta watch that.
All Americans, and I think maybe another American or two won as well. But those are some of the big matches. So good. It's really nice for America to celebrate some W's. At the White House, I thought it was awesome. They're all bitching about it. CNN was bitching about it, saying, "Oh, it's a blood, yeah, exactly. It's a blood sport on the White House lawn." I'm like, this is what.
Shut up. Like,
it's an international phenomenon. I know.
Blood sport. Blood sport. Oh shit! There goes Billy. Blood sport. That was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. I would say.
It's an apex of combat sports, man, and it's a celebration of 250 years. These are great warriors, some of the toughest guys on earth. Fighting for their meal, fighting, and I don't like the way that a lot of like woke journalists and stuff talk about it. It's like, like they act like they're like dogs, like dog fighting. It's like, no, these are grown men making a decision to be warriors. They're fighters anyways, and they're making a lot of money off of it. Or
they could never imagine the head work, not to mention the sheer soul that goes into that sort of thing. They can't see those dimensions of it at all. No, they always have to look at everybody as like, as victims and stuff of being oppressed. Like they're these are grown men. If they weren't doing this, they would probably be like in gangs, gotten killed early or some shit, or working some job that they hate, being poor. Because those kind of guys they are. They're tough dudes from the street a lot of times. Yeah. There is.
So some of them that would definitely be the case. And these guys are but instead they're making millions of dollars. They get to retire early. Then they become coaches, training young men that are also like from the street, tough guys who a lot of them would be going down the wrong path. So I mean, like, shut the fuck up, you little bitches. Exactly. These are grown men making a decision.
I would approve that message.
To get back to this though, and joke it. What do you say?
Hokett. Josh Hokett.
Josh Hokett. Yes, he caused some trouble. And I found it rather interesting the kind of trouble that this caused. So here we go.
And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America?
Wait a minute. Michelle Obama has a thing. We got over that. We talked about that already, right? We talked about
no. I was giving.
Yeah. There it is. Everybody knows.
Well, but this has been an internet conspiracy for many years. Well, I won't say many years. Like really, once Joan Rivers was the one who said it, then it was like it was just immediately swept under the rug. But then there were a couple of situations where Michelle Obama, I think it was the interview that she did with Dwayne Wade's son that he's transing. Zaya, if that's what, whatever that name is, and she said, Michelle Obama said something about how we need to stick together or something like that, and it was kind of crazy. Yeah, it was like the ultimate Freudian slip. I mean, now I've never subscribed to that idea. Okay, but I'm glad that, but it was either way, it was a joke.
Right.
If there's one thing that leftists hate, it's when you joke and the joke is on them.
Oh yeah, they can't do that.
They
can't do that. So what I want to say, man, is I think that's the thing. Josh Hokett he's being a heel. He's being a true WWE heel, right? Where he's going to say the most messed up shit and kind of crazy, stupid shit and dress up all silly and have a silly song. He comes out the Hulk Hogan song. And
wow.
Yeah, and he's doing it for attention. He's doing it for it to be a heel. Like, whether he actually believes that or not, I don't know. I assume he probably doesn't. I think he's conservative leaning, but maybe he believes it, maybe he doesn't. But I think he's clearly doing this shop. He's done this many times, like saying crazy shit. So people, they don't understand that, or they don't want to understand that, but he's like, he did it. He got exactly what he wanted, which is to get on the news, get everybody pissed off, get everybody paying attention to him. He wants to bring heat to himself. So like people pay a lot of money to see him fight, right? A lot of people are going to want to see him lose. So there could be leftists that are watching UFC now to be like, I want to see this fucking asshole get killed. There's going to be conservative guys who think it's funny, or people in general think it's funny what he said. There's going to be people who agree with him and think he's a hero. So that's a lot of people that could be interested in him, and that's heel work. That's just being a heel.
What do you think? What do you think, Billy?
Yeah,
I can see the sense in that. I can see the sense in that. Absolutely, the marketing sense and all that. You know, I hate it that well, I deplore it that so much has become attached to this stuff now. Okay, you know, combat sports when I was growing up was a pretty simple thing. You watch guys fight and that's it. And if you didn't want to, you didn't pay attention to it. Now it's a riot every time it happens. You know, I don't know how to describe the transition, you know, all that. But
well, it's definitely mixing with entertainment.
But you know what? It's also an advance in the culture and in the aspect that a man like that could pull a market like that and make it pay. God bless him.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to do it. I mean, I know even Dana White was like, "Oh, we don't agree with that." You know, he's usually very happy to let people say what they want. But
so what is he not going to let him fight anymore, or what?
No,
no, better than that, right?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, no,
Dana doesn't do that.
Yeah,
Dana's if Sean Strickland can get away with the shit he says, Hogan can get away with that.
One might suppose.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
but he came out and spoke against it. But I mean, as far as I know and how he's always been, he's like, well, people are allowed to say what they want. It's America. I'm not gonna. These are also it's a fight. It's the fight game, man. It's a brutal game. It's like these guys are crazy guys. Some of these dudes. Who gives a shit what they say?
To me, what Dana's saying is fair enough too. You know what I mean?
Totally.
He doesn't have to endorse any of it. You know.
Absolutely, I agree. But anyways, they're gonna keep falling for this, and this guy's gonna get huge. He already is kind of getting big, but they keep falling for the shit because they're a bunch of fucking idiots, parrots and morons and seals and just ridiculous human beings on the left that don't realize that.
How long before a guy like that gets elected to the White House? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
He's got what plants crave, man.
Maybe. Yeah, well, maybe.
This is what I found interesting, because the political fallout was absolutely, completely expected. I mean, if we're going to be perfectly honest with you, it was completely expected. Ellen says, honestly, I wish he hadn't said that. It gave the left all they needed to call the whole show racist and disgusting. My dear, they were going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
We're going to do that anyways.
Can't stop that.
The shit that they were the shit that they said about that whole show, they called it gauche. They called it grotesque. Like gladiators in the cage.
As if they get the right to put you in a gulag because they don't like you.
Yeah, exactly. Or like they were going to do here in New York, put you in a gulag for not taking a shot. But anyways,
no, I mean, it's better. It's definitely a lot better to have a bunch of men cosplaying women on the White House lawn in daytime and showing off their fake tits and their scars and then promoting like castrating and mutilating and sterilizing children. That's obviously a much more dignified way to use the White House lawn.
Yeah, matter of fact, I got video of that too. But here's but again, we know what these people are all about, right? Amy Klobuchar this morning, yesterday.
Oh, no. Does anybody give a shit about Amy Klobuchar, by the way? Anybody?
No. I mean, I forgot who the fuck she was.
I don't even know. Is she Minnesota? Yeah, right.
I don't know if she's a senator from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Okay. A good day to remember what grace is all about. I get so sick of this shit here. Like, this is. Correct me if I. Well, I wrote about this. Matter of fact, I'll go back to this because they worship this. The hedge. It's this. The way in which these people need to believe only the best and only the most perfect about the Obamas, it's bordering on sycophancy. it's bordering on sycophancy.
Make it the ganglia twitch.
Well, yeah. I mean, and
come on, that's
okay. But so I
no.
wrote,
Go ahead. Go. You go.
No. But so I wrote this. I wrote this morning when I saw this. I actually wrote this on my train ride to work. I said, pay very close attention, ladies and gentlemen. The hagiography of Barack and Michelle Obama being heteronormative, squeaky clean, aw shucks, Huxtable types who just love everyone oh so much is so much more important to white liberals than anyone else. The reality of the Obamas being a couple of bitter, soulless communist political operators who may or may not have rented Sasha and Malia is bad enough. The notion that Michelle Obama might just be a male under all those poofy dresses is much worse, but it shouldn't be for Democrats. After 15 years of trans women are women and her penis? Come on. What this has always been about, at least superficially, is the endless assuaging of white liberal guilt. However, right now, I don't think even that's the full explanation. I think these Democrats all know what's about to happen with this uranium in Iran. And they all know that the American people are about to find out how the Obamas have been fucking traitors to this country all along. This seems more like a goodbye than anything else. Billy?
I just found that and reposted it. Right.
Oh, thank you.
Quoted that. Yeah, I had to scroll along to find that, and that was worth looking for.
Thank you.
Those people. Those people. Those fucking people.
Yeah. So your thoughts, sir. I really want to hear what you have to say about this. Like, I don't think I've ever asked you like what your opinion was of Barack Obama. It can't be much more than your opinion of Field Marshal Rodham, and to borrow to kind of use your words. So I want to hear this.
They are large-scale proteges and consequences of Field Marshal Rodham, and the way that American culture and specifically its politics turned in the 90s. Okay, it was bound to come to those people sooner or later. All right, and I see that in a context of socialism and communism. Let me see if I can get this straight. I use no distinction. I see no distinction between the two. Okay, I don't put up with liberal socialists. You boil them down, you get a commie turd. Okay, right? That's what that is. So, and I could go into a whole thing about that. Sooner or later, with each individual, it comes to a moment of personal honesty, whether or not they want to face their own principles. And some people see reason, and lots of them don't. Fuck you, right? They'll stick a Bill Clinton sticker on their brand new Cadillac and right on the paint, and they won't even square it out. Those kind of idiots, right? It was bound to come to those people in the context of applied communism over more than a century, because of how that coercive way of life positively attracts the most bent characters to it. And the best ones or the worst ones, depending on how you look at it, have always had a innate cunning sense of the state of the culture and how and what to exploit. And all of those people have come along at the right time, their time in American history. And there's an inertia of this against which the Republicans have been completely inept. They can't manage the cultural inertia of all of this. And so it comes to people like that. And those two people exploited, they came along and somehow exploited what I would conceive as the grandchildren of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Okay. And he would have them voting for him, people like him, for the next 100 years, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So We have a culture of headless human beings cultivated by the state, like, lab experiments, but they know what they're producing. And they're in their second generation when a man like Obama comes along to blow up everything that I saw in my own lifetime, seaming up and integrating along racial lines. This is the worst I've ever heard in my life, and it's because of them. That's how I see that. And I would contend that any sensible person would agree with most of that. You can look right at it, man. I was in Johannesburg, South Africa, the day he was elected, and the portents were horrifying in the local press. Everything I was getting overseas from America.
What was it? Just like worshipful over there? Like,
yeah. Genuflections and shit. Yeah. People, euphoria. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of running around in the streets, but everybody had a big, bright, sunny smile, and they were all down for it, and it was black and white as well. I mean, in the circles I moved in, I'm sure there were lots of conservative circles that I didn't get to see on what I was. The reason why I was there was show business, right? So that's liberalism, right? But the general tone of it in town that day, when I woke up and it was the news, was, yeah, we're going for a ride here. We're going to have a good ride here.
Meaning that they were going to see like
the buzzwords like justice and equity, things like that, were rattling off the rooftops. All right, and I'm sure that almost nobody had thought any of that through. What any of this meant, it just sounded good in chorus,
right,
and so, they were, and I got this tone from America as well. And as soon as I came home, I heard it. Okay, blaring. People are just about down for anything he wanted to do.
Yeah, and just it should be important to note for anybody listening that doesn't know about this. It's like, obviously by justice you mean they're talking social justice.
Yeah,
because of course justice is a good thing. I know everybody here agrees real justice is a good thing. Social justice is usually tends to be far left indoctrination, far left policies put into place that are society destroying generally, and of course equity, as I think most people, well, probably not most people actually, but obviously most conservatives, people on the right now, it means equality of outcomes, which is socialist communist shit. We have to like force people down and repress everything in order to make everybody have the same results, which of course is also society destroying and removes all incentive. But everybody thought equity means equality. It was like bait and switch, So
very often in a lot of those discussions, you don't even hear social justice. They just abbreviate it to justice, and smuggle that whole package of concepts or anti-concepts into the thing. And people at the street level just soak it up. It's got what plants crave.
Ellen has a
wait. I want to. It's got what plants crave. I think it's the second time you said that since I've been here. What do you mean by that exactly?
Idiocracy.
Is that from Idiocracy?
Yes.
I've seen it once.
What's the drink? What's the drink they're putting on the plants?
I forget. Was it Gatorade or something? No, it was Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew.
No, it was something. It's hell. It was.
They were putting Mountain Dew on it, I think, first.
It had its own name though. Wait. Idiocracy sports drink. It was Brondo, the thirst mutilator.
Okay.
Brondo, the thirst mutilator.
Did the president make that or whatever? Is that it's probably one of his products?
I don't know. It was like, it was some giant corporation producing the stuff they were spraying on all the plants, and nobody could figure it out. At one point
killing all the plants. That's right.
Yeah, right. It's got what plants crave. So that's a great metaphor.
Yeah.
For what I'm talking. Yeah, that's why I say that. All right. street level people who, not that they're necessarily dumb, they're almost thoroughly mal-educated, and it's not their damn ass fault, right?
Right. No.
Right. So they hear these buzzwords, and I don't have a better word for them than that right at the moment, but they're of great import. They hear this noise blowing through the culture at all times, and they just soak it up because it's got what they crave.
Yeah.
Well, when you're raised on a steady diet of, all those like white guilt movies, and I Buried My Heart, Wounded Knee, and all this different fucking books, and they're just all about that, and like kids are thinking like when they grow, when they get a certain age, like, all right, well, that's terrible. We should definitely not do that anymore.
Right.
That becomes their North Star. So all you have to do is say those words to get them to make it so like the most important thing on earth is to not be ever even could look like being racist at all.
Well,
even if it means your society like just gets destroyed from within, and you let in millions of people who are incompatible with your culture and all that sort of thing.
But there's never any percentage in that, because as soon as one gives up the specific definition and concept of racism, as soon as you give that up, there's nothing they can't use it against. Mm-hmm. Nothing.
And
once that principle is given up, there's nothing they cannot or will not use it against, and there's no value that you can offer them. Even if you really do have black friends, you can't offer them that to mitigate the accusation. There's no way to do that. There's never going to be any peace with those people.
We're going to talk about that a little more towards the end. That'll be because there's something happening right now in the UK that is a prime example of how bad that sentiment can get. Okay.
Yep.
You talk about Ellen has a question for you, Billy. Opinions on Biden's presidency being Obama's third term.
I wrote countless times at X that was not a presidency. It was a West Wing Politburo. Understand that? Okay.
Do
connect the concept of a Politburo to the Soviet Union and all of those implications, except that the real Politburo was fairly well known to its own citizens, but they sneaked this one through us, through the West Wing and we know that they were doing what they were doing. So, that can be roughly described as, most of his cabinet, all of his National Security Council advisors. Who the hell else ever wandered through the room? Christ only knows. Okay. But it wasn't him. The whole thing was a lie. And of course it would make sense to me that it were directed by Obama, who's still swinging a big stick. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. He's the only president. I mean, he's the only former president who still resides in DC.
Yeah. And he won't sit down and shut up except when it's, opportune to him. He's always in the game at a critical moment.
The one thing that I like, the one thing that I really enjoyed about this whole, getting back to Nokit's, or Hokit rather, I'm going to get the last name right. I promise. The thing that I enjoyed the most about that,
Billy, can you put that cigarette out, man?
Oh yeah, sure, right, yeah, right away. Be happy to help.
I'm coughing, man. No smoking inside.
That's funny. That is funny. Wow.
I hope so. I don't know.
So like the thing that I like,
trying to make it real. We're trying to make it real here.
Yeah, me too.
We're really in the same room.
So here's the thing that I like the most about this, this joke and the way that it's completely discombobulated the left. Like again, because they're always discombobulated. They're always dysregulated for one reason or another. If it's not clean pools, it's saying Michelle Obama's a man. Go figure.
Well, there's a lot to ruin, Isaiah, so they're busy.
They have been busy. They've been trying to ruin every fucking thing. But in this particular case, it's like I said this last night, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Because personally, I think that Biden was Obama's third term. Like that, they just not even a dispute.
I think it's probably pretty fair. Yeah.
Do you? Let me ask you this question. A question for the whole panel here.
It wasn't Biden's term, so let's put it that way.
No, he didn't know where the fuck he was.
It was somebody's turn. It wasn't his.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't know where the fuck he was. Nobody
Yeah.
did not know where he was on a given basis. But
But that was but they're the saving democracy people though, because
yeah,
just make sure you have somebody there that nobody voted for running things. It's the saving democracy people.
exactly.
Our democracy.
Yeah,
That's
our
right.
democracy. Yeah, yeah. Keep us in power. But here's my question, guys. So this is. Let me make sure I get this out correctly. Calling Michelle Obama a man, in my opinion, has, I think, caused a bit of cognitive dissonance among the left. Because think of it again. I want to kind of touch back on what I talked about in the post that I wrote. The idea of Barack and Michelle Obama being the pinnacle of Black excellence, Black wife, Black husband, Black kids, you know what I'm saying? Like America, the image of America finally getting over that hump of getting over the first part of racism in, the civil rights era had finally come true. And I'm giving you a bit of perspective in terms of what Black Americans think. Not the YNs in the street. I'm talking about like Black Americans with jobs. Okay.
With jobs.
Like me.
Right.
But the thing is, because we're all in agreement that Barack and Michelle Obama are nowhere near being the Cliff and Claire Huxtable types, no matter how much you try to fucking sell them. But
I don't know. I just want to say I don't know that much about any of their background, what they do besides what they did on camera. So maybe you could shed some light on some of that. But
here's the thing. Ellen just touches on it right here. Isaiah, have you noticed the left suddenly knows what a woman is when it comes to Michelle Obama? That's my point. That's what I'm getting at, because they know exactly what a woman is when dealing with Michelle Obama. But my thing is this. It's like, matter of fact, I'll get to that in a second. I believe that they need, and by they, I'm talking about white leftists, they need the visage of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. They need that because it's their last reminder that they haven't gone crazy. There's a piece of them that knows that they've detached from reality so much and so badly that the last thing that they did that seemed to make any sense from a public standpoint, they try to hold on to. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a really interesting angle to me. One thing that occurs to me is how do those people play at the street level among the hood? You know what I mean? Do they does that affinity reach that far down? How popular are they all the way through Black culture, which is in itself is a difficult call. You tell me what that is, right?
But I'm not even talking so much about Black culture. I'm not talking about Black folk in this case. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm speaking specifically about white leftists. Your white liberal.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
White liberal elite. They are the ones who need that image of that Cliff and Claire Huxtable narrative about Barack Obama. They need it more than Black folk do, in my opinion. But they need it because deep down, they know they've gone crazy. Deep down, they know that they've completely abandoned the working class. They've abandoned the Black folk that they claim to advocate for. And so that image of Barack and Michelle Obama being the quote unquote best of us is like that last reminder that they haven't gone crazy.
It's way out there on the reminders list, and I can see what you're talking about. What else? That black couple image that you're talking about is something that they can't let anything touch, while they're out to destroy everything else. Right?
Yeah.
That's something they can never tear down.
It's also a time when they were.
It's like a flag in the wreckage.
That's also a time when the media, and this is almost pre-podcast and stuff as well, right? That's a lot of ways pre-independent media, or at least people didn't really know about it unless you were in that, like a YouTube channel, you're into one or something like that. This was a time where like the media was pretty much completely, in favor of anything Democrats did, made them always look good besides Fox News. There wasn't many podcasts talking out against Democrats. There wasn't many anything else. So it's just like unanimous magazines, newspapers, legacy media. Oh my God, this is like a golden era. What a great president Obama is. Racism over, but not really, because then we're going to revive it in a couple of years. And then, and it's like, this is what a president should look like. This is so presidential. This is when people were normal. This is when America was on the right track. And then Trump came, and oh my God, it's a complete fascist hellhole, fascist, not neo-Nazi, white supremacist hellhole. So they get to point to that, and and the media made everything seem really good, under Obama, because they never would report on anything. We didn't know a lot of things that the Democrats themselves were up to. Probably how much money they launder out in USAID, and how much money did they launder and funnel through their different, like, thousands of NGOs during that time as well. I'm sure they were already up to that. And I don't know how much Obama had to do with it, but I'm sure he knew about some of it. How did Obama get rich? Obama's pretty rich now, right?
I don't. Who knows?
Isn't he worth like 100 million or something? Or am I pulling that out of my ass?
Oh yeah,
I don't know. Probably.
The Obamas are worth close to $1 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Like, how do they do that? I know. I feel like they might have had like one like podcast deal or something with Apple or some shit, but
Netflix.
I don't know if they made that. Netflix, but I don't know if you don't make that much money from that.
Right, they had a film thing with Netflix, but then I think they had like a deal with Spotify.
Yeah. So you don't be
Spotify. That's like easy money.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's $1 billion. Like Rogan didn't even get $1 billion. Rogan's way bigger than anything they're ever going to do. But like,
sure.
As far as media.
But I think they got like I think they did get like 100 million or something. They got somewhere between
something like that. Maybe, yeah. And if they're like at $1 billion or something, like you said, or almost, I mean, that's what I don't know where they got that money from. I'm like, that's pretty good investing, I guess.
But I do believe that there's something there in terms of once Barack and Michelle, like people have already started. Like Barack Obama has done more than enough on his own to immolate his entire legacy.
But who knows? Nobody knows about that. Nobody besides certain conservative people.
The way he excoriated black men working on Kamala Harris's campaign in broad fucking daylight told people exactly everything they needed to know.
Anybody paying attention.
To anybody paying attention, yeah,
right. And if anybody on the Democrats seeing that, I mean, some people might read between the lines, but most of them will just that would be sugar coated and portrayed through rose tinted glasses to them. Be like, oh no, he's looking, he's looking out. We should stand with our black. When you talk about the you got to support our sisters or whatever the hell he said.
That's because they're all complicit in the communism and they're thriving on it. Okay.
So the reason why there's such a people love the Obamas. Like I used to love them back when I was a Democrat. Like I voted for him at least once, maybe twice. I don't know. I think just once, but so they're like a real mascot of like untouchable goodness and nothing they did. They didn't do anything wrong because they never were portrayed by the media to ever do anything wrong, really. And it was that he wore a tan suit once. Like that's all the Democrats would know is like his scandal, right? And so people just don't know. So like it's hard to and then they're a symbol of racism's over and a symbol of and he was a great speaker. He was a great speech giver. So he was very moving. So people remember that. They made him feel good and all that. So of course they're going to stick with that. But then again, the far left, I don't think likes him very much. I'm pretty sure the far left is like Obama.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's nowhere near radical enough for them.
Right.
Well, I mean, I remember when leftists were calling him the deporter in chief.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, it was that was the far left.
They need to figure out their position on immigration though, because if he's a deporter in chief and they're complaining about that, like Bernie was against mass immigration, like just in like 2016 or 14 or something, whatever it was, talking about how like that's a Koch brothers conspiracy and and it's lowering wages of union workers and Americans and stuff like that. And it's like, so I don't know, where are they with that right now? I mean, obviously it looks like they're super pro immigration. So I guess they lost Bernie. They lost Bernie, or Bernie lost them in that regard. But they're totally confused.
Well, ultimately, I don't think they're confused at all. I think the issue with the left right now is that they're just looking for people who will continue who will just continue the revolution. Remember one thing about communists, and Billy can Mr. Beck can attest to this. Once the revolution stops moving, it becomes right wing.
Yes.
Any bit of status quo, anything that can be described as status quo, immediately becomes right wing. The revolution is perpetual.
So but they're particularly passionate about it now. They think that their revolutionary moment in America has come. They were riding the third Obama presidency toward what they thought. That's what BLM is all about.
Yeah,
right? It's like
defund the police, abolish the police. Like that's
all of that jazz is the most radical wing of the revolution happening in America now. And they really have thought in the last decade or more, 15 years, that the greatest prize in the eye of communists around the world, America, is within arm's reach. That's what they've thought. So that's what's happening. They think the revolution is really, really on. Not perhaps understanding the scale of what has to be destroyed and overturned in America, and how strong the bedrock is under where the right, what they call the right, the extreme right, the radical right, whatever the fuck they want to call me, I don't care. That stratum is still there, and they haven't really understood what it's going to take to overturn this. And this is based on their experience over a century or more. We all know that, right? They'll never stop trying. They claim their victories now and then, right, here and there, but they will never stop trying. And they have really thought that the greatest prize in all of communism was to be had.
To be had.
Yes, they have really thought in recent years that they could actually exercise a communist revolution right here in America. They've thought that that's the prize, to overturn America.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it's and honestly, I mean, with all of these socialist and DSA candidates that are popping up all over the place. I mean, a DSA candidate just won the Democratic primary in Washington for mayor of Washington, D.C.
That brings us to what to me seems like a really important point. And I have put it this way in principle terms for many years. What are Americans going to do when the communists erase the Constitution? Do you understand? What's going to happen when all the little communists have been grown in the hothouses in numbers large enough to go to the polls and fucking vote communism here in America? Now, what are Americans going to do? And they will do it constitutionally. They'll vote themselves in. They'll gain majorities in the legislatures, from town councils to the United States Congress, the House of Representatives. And sooner or later, if they have to, they will amend the Constitution in grotesquely unimaginable ways, but they'll argue it constitutionally, especially when they stuff the court. They will overturn. What are Americans going to do when they understand the threat to the essential politics of the political implications of the United States Constitution when the communists erase it? What's going to happen? What are Americans going to do when the communists erase the Constitution? This is why I've always contended that everything necessary to America was contained in the Declaration of Independence, and that the Constitution was a counter-revolutionary act. I put it in those kinds of terms. Now, that's really deep. It scared my father when he heard me talking about shit like that. He was a constitutionalist to the end of his life. I'm not. I never have been.
Well, how would the Declaration of Independence protect our rights and stuff, though? Was it legally binding like that? Was the language written in that that way? I don't even know. I haven't read it in a long time, so I'm not even sure exactly. Maybe it does.
Nino, you know what? I would to answer that question. I hope you wouldn't think it's a deflection of me to point out that the Constitution is protecting nobody's rights now. And so, in other words, it's not. No, I would hold no legal implications of that sort, as keep
talking about that.
As a development of the Declaration. It ain't like that. The Declaration wasn't there to lay down rules the way the Constitution is. And the communists are now, flagrantly to anybody who's watching, the communists are now exploiting constitutional methods to affect the revolution here in America. And they'll vote their way in, and they very nearly did.
Yeah.
The sole value I've ever taken from Trump was that he stopped that whole axis of American socialism. I don't know where they're going to go from here. The revolutionary momentum isn't what it was what it was. The death of USAID is like murder, just that alone. Trump has stopped that axis of American socialism, and to me, that's notable in history because it's been very, very close in recent years.
Yeah, the big problem seems to me to be indoctrination and universities.
Hell yeah,
increasing. Like that's the main. To answer your question about what are Americans going to do to when they find out that they're trying to change the Constitution, or get rid of the Constitution and make it a communist country. It's like a lot of them might agree with it at that point. It might be too late. They might all agree, like because of indoctrination, that it's like, well, of course we should, because like capitalism doesn't work. I have $200,000 of student loans, which of course is from those leftist universities. But it's a nice way to create a Marxist, isn't it? You indoctrinate them, and then you give them $100,000 to $200,000 in debt with interest. They're going to be a fucking Marxist too, probably. So well
for
done.
decades, I have considered the question. 40 years. All right, for 40 years, I have considered the question of what is the most immediate ethical political threat to America. I oscillate between taxation and education, and they're so viciously intertwined that that's a very difficult thing to separate that question. The immorality of taxation has enormous implications of its own, but I've contended for a long time. I've formalized it in a statement in recent years. We have to get all education. We have to get all government. We have to get all government out of all education in the same way as the separation of church and state, and for all the same reasons. In order that that parents raising children can develop their minds in ways that they see reasonable, and most people will, because communism is no way to live it, and rational people won't teach it to their kids.
Exactly.
Now, they could only do that through a forced government education, and if they get their hands on them early enough, there's nothing parents can do.
Right.
It is possible. It is possible to inoculate your kids, I think, but you got to be good at it. You got really
it takes intense will and strength of character and clarity of thought. I was blessed, man.
You got to know.
No commie laid a finger on me ever. My dad wouldn't allow it.
I have a friend who has a daughter, and who he's a lifelong conservative, good guy. I don't want to say his name or anything, but and Mike, and he grew. And now they're living in New York City in Queens. They grew up. His kids grew up there. Now she's in high school, I think. And I'm like, I worry, about my kids. Like, are they gonna be indoctrinated? And by the time they're in high school, they're gonna be like, super woke, or whatever. And he's like, I inoculated her against everything. He's like, she's like just like me. She's like, she's like a Latina girl, like a brown skinned Latina girl. And she sees through the craziness, right? And so like that gave me hope. And I've heard other people.
It can happen.
Yeah. So I just want to say that just so people don't give up. Like, you might have to educate yourself a little bit. You might have to learn the arguments. Might have to give them a little bit of historical perspective, which isn't that hard. And just be like, they're going to tell you that, that, for example, men are useless and there's no reason to have men in the world. It wouldn't be better. It's like, you got to tell them, do you know where everything on earth comes from? Everything that's ever been built, all
look
the
around you,
your phone, how that came in. They think the fucking phone fairy came in and created that. Like, all the food almost all the food that's being here, the fish, everything you see, like that's got to be like, so yeah, men are extremely important. There's a lot of bad men. There's a lot of good men. But that's, if anybody's telling you that, you already know that they're a fucking idiot and they're lying to you. Yeah.
Oh, you were,
for example. Go ahead.
No, so there's one other thing that actually did happen at Freedom 250. Because the left is quite demoralized. Believe it or not, like, because you mentioned earlier, Billy, about how Trump has stopped a great bit of the American socialist movement. If I heard you correctly, there's certain.
Yeah, I call it the Rodham, Obama, and then Bidenite axis of socialism.
Gotcha.
American socialism. That particular axis, which has its roots far deeper in history, but yeah, that thing had really gained momentum in the time since Clinton. Although he was nobody, it was always her driving the show.
Yeah, right? It was.
And we know how involved she was in everything ever since. Okay, so I see 30 years of the Rodham, Obama, Bidenite, and I use that word advisedly. It wasn't Biden; it was the Bidenites. That whole axis of socialism. Right.
Yeah.
Trump came out of nowhere and stomped it to bits on every front. I've never seen anything like it in my life. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Isaiah.
Okay. So something else happened at Freedom 250. It turns out Freedom 250, there was a situation that was that was a terrorist plot that was foiled.
Yeah, I heard that.
And so let me pull this up. This is from Steve Guest. The FBI stopped a terrorist attack targeting UFC Freedom 250 that would have used explosive drones to kill, quote, capitalist elites, billionaires, or politicians who receive donations from AIPAC. Per the FBI, on May 31st, 2026, Proper sent messages leading with the text. These are people we're going to focus on, and then sent images of U.S. Senator Jim Justice, U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, U.S. Representative Carol Miller, and U.S. Representative Riley Moore. The 4 images of these members of Congress appear to have been taken from the website trackapac.com and appear to include information about how much money each congressperson receives from pro-Israel PACs. There was a whole terrorist plot was foiled. They've been talking about it. They've been talking about it little by little all day. But yeah, the bullets only fly from one direction, folks. The bullets only fly from one direction. And Trump sat there in the front row because it had already been foiled before they even got close. Matter of fact, I think I just saw one of the guys. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world of leftism. They're losing big time, and they're losing often. Okay. There was a situation in which it might take me a minute to find it, but the point is there's a desperation. They would not have tried to pull something like that if Trump was not winning, if he was not effective at ending the designs of Americans of what you've called them. You use one of your terms. If Trump was not effective at ending AMSOC, why would they wouldn't have tried to kill him? Now, apparently, this is the third assassination attempt just this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean it. They really thought that they could affect the revolution here in America until that guy came along, and that's the panic. And something like the revolution is an enormously inertial thing. It tends to keep moving, and they think that they can recover the inertia before it all grinds to a halt, and they have to start again where they were in, say, 1980. Right? That's what they're afraid of. It's a blind panic. Yeah, of course. Oh man, listen to what I'm talking. Just listen to what just occurred into my head here. Of course, they're going to try to kill him. Of course, they're going to try to kill him. And I can't even believe I'm talking about that, man. I mean, I remember Kennedy being shot. I remember where I was that day. Now it's cliche as shit, but you go live that, and it's not. And then come into a time, in the 21st fucking century, where you have to, any common guy on the street like me can look around and go, of course they're going to try to kill him. What do you expect from these subhumans?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they have a long track record of violence, man, throughout history, the far left. I mean, so long track record.
Oh yeah.
Of murderous violence and famine.
But Isaiah citing the sheer number of attempts on this guy that's something we've never seen before.
That's always going to be something that the far left is going to want to do, man.
See,
unfortunately,
you mentioned Field Marshal Rodham earlier, Billy, and look at that.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Oh man.
Okay. How fucking incorrigible is that?
Vince Foster's body lies a moldering in the grave. Vince Foster's body lies a moldering in the grave. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I remember my dad would talk about Vince Foster. Like when that happened, when I was a kid, I remember my dad talking about Vince Foster, and there was one other actually that really struck him. That was who was that? Ron Brown. Remember that?
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah! Now you're tapping the Usenet era. Okay, when I was among the kooks active at Alt Current Events, Clinton Whitewater, and Usenet. This is a text-only forum. It was worldwide, and that particular news group, we called them news groups, was doing real close work on the Clintons all the way through the 90s. And yes, Ron Brown, when that happened, oh Lord, you can't imagine what that was like. And there were times when, say, the mainstream, I used to call them lamestream media, would come creeping around the group for stories and angles and stuff like that, but they were reporting nothing real. It was complete fantasy for 8 years with those two, those people, those fucking people. Yes. And so, Vince, the Foster case, among people who knew it and didn't rely on public statements, even by people like Ken Starr, the Democrats made endless hay on the Starr report. But if to anyone who actually sifted through the details of that case and tried to put it all together, what you heard and what they were telling people through the 90s was absurd, and it's the prototypical case. It's the central stone case that should have been resolved and ruined those people forever. Okay, and then there were all kinds of stories like that. The Billy Dale case and the White House staff, the FBI files that found in Hillary's quarters. Okay, what the asshole? There was something going on in Mina, but I never believed that it was cocaine running. Okay, that's how deep this whole thing got. And I'll never ever tolerate that woman in any way. Concede her the least amount of respect because of the vicious wounds that she put in my country. Okay, Hillary, and she's like the godmother of the viciousness of socialism as it came down to us through Obama and the Bidenites. And we got to remember that when we talk about names like this, there are all kinds of leeches attached and vultures flying overhead fending for these fucking people. You know what I mean? It's a whole complex of evil at work.
Yeah,
and they did their job pretty well. It never should have happened, though. It never should have happened, and that's why I cite Vince. He was. I don't want to go all nutty here on okay or anything, but he died in the first 6 months of that administration.
He did, didn't he?
Boom. Okay.
Oh shit.
Fucking A. And I mean, there's I could illuminate a little bit of what I think about it. There was a litigation immediately. A doctors association sued Hillary because of the healthcare task force working groups thing. She wanted to keep it a secret, right? She was working on healthcare policy. She wasn't even fucking elected. And a bunch of doctors sued her because she was trying to keep some of the proceedings quiet, and they wanted to know everything that was going on. They were crafting legislation, essentially what it was. And who's the guy from Chicago, the mayor, just recent mayor. I can't think of his name. Ron. Oh no, wait, no, I don't know. The
mayor of who?
Chicago. The
Rahm Emanuel?
Rahm Emanuel was like running around in her staff those days. I could cite all kinds of other names, but I have to go through the books. The place was crawling with commie creeps. So they sued her, and one of Ira Magaziner is another one. Okay, he was hauled into court to testify, and or I don't know. Actually, he didn't go to court. He submitted a perjured affidavit to the court. That's what happened there.
Oh,
okay. The prosecutor, the DC District Court prosecutor, got a criminal referral from Judge Royce Lamberth and refused to prosecute the case. You'll never guess who that DC prosecutor was.
Oh,
oh Lord, I just lost his name. The former FBI director,
Jim Comey?
No, black man.
Eric Holder?
Thank you.
Attorney General.
Thank you.
That was
Attorney General. Yes. Former Attorney General Eric Holder refused to prosecute the criminal referral on Ira Magaziner's perjured affidavit in the suit against Hillary Clinton. Now, here's just me. This is just me. I've always believed that it was actually Vince who crafted that affidavit, and his conscience tore him up. Now, I could imagine a world in which Vince shot himself. There's absolutely no way it happened with that Colt 38 on that trail in Fort Marcy Park. That's absolutely impossible. And anyone who understands the government's own documents understands that. So I think Vince was a loose thread, man.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think Vince was a loose thread. I think,
and there've been, the world's been full of them. The world is now fuzzy and hairy with Hillary's loose threads. 30 years later, look around. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, the cook, Obama's cook, was a loose thread. And they had to get rid of him.
You know what, Isaiah? I've been used to this for so fucking long. I can't keep up. You know what I mean? I tend to lose these things now. I just can't keep up anymore. I expect it. I positively expect outrageous horseshit every day.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Especially, I want to talk about. Oh wait, hold on. Ellen said mugged, but found wearing his watch and his wallet in his pocket. Oh, that's a hit.
On and on and on, man. On and on and on. There's full of details like that.
He didn't get robbed. That's a hit.
Who was mugged?
Vince Foster.
His
the official narrative is that he was mugged.
And this is in a trail?
Yeah. It's just outside of Washington, D.C. It's like a little walking trail kind of gag. You know what I mean? His car was found in the parking lot, but his keys were not found until in the morgue later.
They're saying on AI, they're saying it was they found it was a suicide.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Get this.
They changed their story afterwards.
There was a torn up suicide note with Bernie Nussbaum's palm print was found in Bernie's briefcase 3 days later. Bernie was chief White House counsel. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just full of stuff like that, man. I can't remember it all. I've forgotten more about this case than most people ever knew.
Sounds like it.
And just lived with it all these years and watching her do what she does.
You think so you think that Hillary, do you think, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, since I got you here, who do you think's more of a ringleader in the Democrat Party machine? Her or Obama?
Power turns. The most graphic example of this is the Soviet Union, and how things turned there, especially after Stalin. Khrushchev's out, Brezhnev's in, that sort of thing. So, but it happens more subtly in America just because of the way our politics is set up. Who's more important, then or now? Hillary was seminal. Obama is a protege and every bit as powerful in some aspects, I think. And certainly as Hillary gets older, right? She's a venerated elder, but how much heft she swings in the machine is an open question to me.
Yeah. I mean, didn't they just find that she had that she was on some antipsychotic medications or something like that?
I saw that story flash by. Who knows? I'm prepared to believe that. I can believe anything now, and it would make kind of sense. I could see her falling apart in a particular way.
So, okay, the big thing we're going to talk about tonight. By the way, folks, this is Apostate Radio, episode 58. ILC, Nino Sabio over there to your right, and we are speaking with the one and only Billy Beck. I have to
happy to be here.
It is a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Nino.
We got to talk about the rape gangs. We got to talk about this. The UK. I want to open this up with just a quick little thing here. Never in my life, our mutual friend. I don't know if you know Joshua Slocum of the Disaffected podcast. But Joshua Slocum, shout to the Jacob Urofsky, professor of disaffection. He's probably dying laughing. He'll just start dying laughing as soon as he hears that. Love you, Josh.
Love you, Josh.
He has said, he really loves you.
Not in that way, but I do love you, Josh.
He coined a phrase several years ago. He says, you are in an abusive relationship with your government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is something that we're all pretty much in agreement with. That yes,
that's actually something that probably almost everybody can agree with.
Yeah, and like we all,
Yeah.
it's like
Even the communists.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
the
They're not
communists,
getting
even the
right.
Democrats, even the libertarians, everybody. That's
But
one thing we can agree on. That's something to think about for a little bit.
But then the question, but you know, we could talk about the abusive relationships that we have with our government on the local and the state level. That's where I feel like it is these days. But what happens when a constitutional monarchy decides to just go, you know, we've had enough of you, and we're gonna let these brown Muslims come in and we're gonna let them rape your daughters and not even prosecute and not even just look the other way. That's what's been happening in Great Britain. Rupert Lowe, the MP who represents Restore Britain, he's been making a lot of headway with his straight talk about just about everything going on in the UK. He just released a massive report on the Pakistani rape gangs that have been operating within the UK for years. The stories that I have, like I've read some of it this afternoon, and I'm going to be reading through it a little bit more later, like in depth. But some of the excerpts that have come out of this have been absolutely horrifying. We are talking about 250,000 girls within like a 4 or 5 year period or something like that. Into Vittorio. I don't know how to pronounce it. Iter Intellectus. He wrote, they should make reading the full report mandatory. Police, politicians, police officers, social workers, teachers, people supposed to protect children have been complicit in the rape of 250,000 girls with an institutional cover-up for fear of being racist. I don't know if I can even read some of the horror stories that are coming out of I don't know if I can read them publicly. Some of this stuff is truly grotesque. You have stories of girls getting set on fire. You have just some of the most egregious examples of sexual abuse, and like just the most the straight up barbarism. And then something came to my attention earlier today, where Keir Starmer, the current prime minister,
Poofter minister,
Britain, this guy apparently let something to the tune of 13,000 of the men who were raping these girls just didn't prosecute. 13,000. Just let him go.
To me,
just let him pass.
It's the same essential question that we face in America. What's going to happen when radical forces, the radical in the wrong direction, overturn the existence of the government and use it to a purpose like this? So everyone should go read the report, of course, but what's going to happen, which is how you started that segment there, Isaiah. What's going to happen when? All right, what's going to happen? Who's going to do what? My wife and I marvel at Ireland every day, coming to what it's coming to, and fear for anyone who doesn't understand what it's coming to.
I have never been more like, I read some of the stories that are coming out of this thing. like there's one thing that in that the account infantry Dort passed along. It's sick. Like I haven't read stuff like this since October 7th.
You know what? I don't get outraged. It doesn't touch me anymore. And that's principally because of my own experience, my disorganized and unprogrammed reading, my familiarity with the Soviet Union. And one of the greatest lessons I took from it is that there is no end to the depravity of man. So, right. None of this shocks me. It's just deeply wounding to anyone who understands what's happening.
But they were doing this.
Horrible to live in times like this.
They were doing this to girls. They were doing this. There are stories of girls being destroyed like this as young as 10 years old.
Yeah.
Even younger.
Yeah.
Dude, it's society's being completely emasculated, man, completely subverted and demoralized to the point where, like I said before, the problem is that they've trained people, especially the politicians, I guess, to think that the worst possible thing on earth is to be potentially viewed as racist, and that's
when the worst possible thing on earth is happening right across the street.
Right. But yeah, exactly. Like that. This just being, allowing, 250,000 women, girls, not women, girls, little girls to be, raped and murdered and tortured by foreigners or whatever they are, whether they're foreigners or not, or people of maybe they're born there, citizens, some of them, and they're just of a certain color or whatever, certain religion. That we could just sacrifice our own little girls. It's made the men in that country and in our country too, in some ways, right? And in different ways, like letting people out of jail 100, fucking 30 times, not even putting them in jail, arresting them 30 times till they finally kill somebody, then maybe they put them in prison finally. It's so demonic and it's crazy that anybody would support that you would just. It's crazy that there's not like a huge revolt in England right now.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, like they should be. This is guillotine time, man. In my opinion, like this kind of stuff.
Yes.
This is like, how is Starmer still in office? Let alone, how is he still alive? Let alone still in office if that's true. You know what I mean?
Starmer,
13,000 guys he lets out to just do it again. Like, what's the lesson that they get? They're going to do it again.
The grisly facts of each and every crime. No, don't throw me, Isaiah. Okay, there's no end to the depravity of man. I take all of that as given. What's far more important to me is what it means. Okay, there's a fact and then there's what it means. What does all this shit mean? Which is what you're going to, Nino. What's the end of this? What's the logical conclusion of this? And it's horrible, but there it is. It's awful, man. I hate this. That anyone's life has come to any of this. None of it had to happen, but here it is, and reality will have its way in the end. That's the way I see that. Reality will have its way in the end. Rational people, advisedly, in my opinion, will understand what has to be done over something like this. And it's going to be awful. Civil wars usually are. But man, I don't know if anybody sees another angle on it. I'm all ears.
I genuinely do not understand what, like, when some of the stories that I was reading in that like on my way to work, it was like, if I were a Briton, if I were British, Keir Starmer would be dealt with within 48 hours.
Well,
I don't understand why. Again, like, and like, my thing is this. This is not only career ending. This is not only, throw him out of the prime minister position. This is civilization. This is civilizational betrayal.
I was going to say prosecutable, but yeah, you're putting a finer point on it.
Like 1 million Brits should be in the streets of London right now, going to 10 Downing Street and telling Keir Starmer, either you get out or we will move you. Either you leave or we will get you up out of there. Like, I don't understand how this could happen. A country, this is, I'm gonna go off on it. Let me go off for a second. Please.
Wait,
bear
this
with
is
me.
Fauci level shit, man.
Yeah. Like, this is what I don't understand. It is, and Ellen was here, is right. She says this is a crime against humanity. It is. The purpose, you hear this a lot, ladies and gentlemen. You hear this phrase a lot. The purpose of a system is what it does, right?
Uh-huh.
The purpose of a system is what it does. So if a government is facilitating the rape and torture and murder of little girls, be they of little white girls, Christian girls, because listen, to me, the race and the race and the religion does not matter necessarily to me, but it matters for this story because these are brown Muslims who have been brought over to that country and allowed basically to do whatever they want under and any time that the government of that country, anytime the city of London or the rest of the countries in the UK, they are told basically, we do not want to be seen as racist. To do all these animals have to do is just simply go, you're being racist. What did we watch a couple weeks ago, Nino?
With Harry Novak.
Harry Novak gets stabbed in the back.
I don't think you did, mate.
I don't think you did, mate.
I don't think you have, mate. I don't think you have been stabbed. Meanwhile, the boy bled out to death in the middle. Bled out right in front of him. He died as they were lecturing him about his racism.
That was so dismal.
Alleged racism. It was the most grotesque thing I'd ever seen up until this week.
Poor kid, man. Imagine that your last moments. You first of all, you got stabbed by some guy who probably shouldn't even be there. Should definitely be in prison because he's a maniac, and apparently was pulling his stupid fucking sword out with somebody in the road. Get killed by him, and then you got to be lectured about being a racist while you're dying. Like
You're
in your last moments,
bleeding
That's
out.
the last thing you hear.
These fucking woke
And
retards.
you can't get up and punch that fucking idiot in the nose.
I don't understand. Again,
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Where do we go from here? Because, like I said, please understand, this is like that shit is on its way here to the United States.
Oh well, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's be very clear about this. What's going on in the UK is not far from happening. There was an attack earlier, and I was perusing it. There was an attack in Jersey City today. And this fucking dog threw sulfuric acid on 5 girls in Jersey City.
Now see, this is one of the reasons I'm an anarchist. Okay. The state protects specimens of that sort where real men would have put him away on sight.
Yep.
Right. And
immediately.
Yeah, you see something like that coming, you know what to do. Right. But who's the Marine who was prosecuted for choking that guy in the subway car?
Oh, that was Daniel Penny.
Thank you. I should never forget these people, but there's so many of them. It's on both sides. It's hard to keep track. Daniel Penny. Okay, so that thing comes along and nobody wants to get involved. Of course, that's an old problem in American culture too. There was a big do about a woman who got stabbed in an alley in the early 60s or late 50s. Kitty something, I can't remember. And that was a sociological study. Nobody wanted to get involved. Well, it's far worse now. Nobody knows which way the law is going to move, but we see plenty of evidence of it moving in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. Anyone paying attention understands that. Man,
Like I said, I have never been more disgusted in my life. It's like, why would
you will be
I maybe because I have a 12-year-old niece and I have a 6-year-old niece, and I would kill people to protect those two little girls. Okay.
Or die trying.
Exactly. I do the fact that they were doing this shit to girls that are my niece's age. The fact that these dogs were let in by the government of this country, were let in by the prime minister and all these little, so many people, on the way up to, from the prime minister, from the king himself on down, betrayed the country, the United Kingdom have betrayed their own citizens. And for what? To not be called racist? To not be called racist? So that you can sleep better at night? Because you didn't put a few brown people away. You didn't put a few brown people in prison. So that just so your self-esteem and your access to fancy food meant more to you than the safety and protection of elementary and middle school girls.
It's an interesting point to me, Isaiah. Socialism doesn't necessarily have to stand on some grand platform of principle in marching in great causes like the libertarian or the liberation of the proletariat. It can be absolutely as silly as idiots afraid that somebody doesn't like them. It can be that dumb.
Yeah. And that's often what it is. That's often what it is. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I have never seen anything like it. It is truly the most disgusting thing I've seen. You got to protect these girls, man. You have to protect these. If you cannot protect the most innocent among you, you do not have a government. You have an occupation. That's just it, man.
They also don't have any real men, it seems like, either. That's another thing. Like, that's one of men's biggest duties is to protect either people, protect especially women and children. And there's seemingly not enough real men in that country to do what needs to be done.
It's not
education. That might go to education. Okay.
Yes.
Raise generations of poofters, and then they're going to stand there. Do you remember? Did you ever watch the 1959 production of The Time Machine, the original movie, The Time Machine?
No, I didn't.
The scene where the Eloy, where the main character flies through time and ends up in a time where the Eloy, he discovers the Eloy at the side of this peacefully flowing river in the daylight sun, and they don't care about a damn thing in the world, even a woman drowning in the water 6 feet away. They don't care about anything at all, because everything is provided for them. Now this is based on what's his name, the guy who wrote the novel The Time Machine. Oh Christ, I can't believe I can't remember that, but I don't. It's a great look at that sort of submissive, supine culture that can tolerate grotesque atrocities without understanding any of it. Right? These people are functionally Eloy, and they've been built that way by the government over generations.
So there is one quick thing here. The account John Galt writes, I just want to give some context to the rape gangs, because not enough people fully understand the scale of what has happened. Rupert Lowe's rape gang inquiry report estimates that at least 250,000 young white British girls have been subjected to repeated rapes, trafficking, and torture by Muslim, largely Pakistani men. The true number is probably higher. Historically, for crimes on this scale, words like genocidal rape, war crimes, or crimes against humanity have been used, even for far fewer numbers. Here are some examples. Indian partition, 1947, 75,000 to 100,000 women were raped by both Indians and Pakistanis. The Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971, 200,000 to 400,000 women raped by, it's them again, Pakistanis. Pakistanis used rape as a weapon of war in both 1947 and 1971. Their grandfathers did it to Hindu girls in 1947. Their fathers did it to Bengali girls in 1971, and now they're doing it to British girls. 3 generations of genocidal rapists. Other examples include the Bosnian War of 1992 through 1995. That was particularly nasty. Serb forces versus Bosnian women. 20,000 to 50,000 women raped. Rwandan genocide, 1994, Hutu versus Tutsi, 100,000 to 500,000 women raped. The rape of Nanking, the Nanjing massacre, 1937 through 1938, the Japanese Imperial Army versus Chinese civilians, 20,000 to 80,000 women raped. These are the kinds of atrocities that compare in scale to the rape gangs. So just calling them rape gangs is probably not strong enough. We are talking about one of the worst rape atrocities of all time. The worst part is the rapists are still roaming our streets. Our daughters are still not safe. And the politicians who all look the other way, the traitors who actually allowed this to happen, they are still in government.
It's sick. It's
you
not
repost that, Isaiah.
I absolutely will. Thank you.
It's not as if any of this happened as a consequence of noble defeat in warfare. There wasn't even a fight over this. There's no battlefield over this. They just let it happen. They made it happen.
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy.
Again, the scale of this. The scale of this free market to firepower says the Bangladesh Liberation War was Pakistanis raping East Pakistanis, their fellow Muslims. East Pakistan became Bangladesh after the war. Frosty 18 says, thanks for pointing all this out on your show. I don't take pleasure in this, but I thank you for saying that. We really appreciate that. Because understand something, folks, there is nothing. You want to know what MSNBC and CNN are focused on right now, folks? This is like day 3, it's day 2 of focusing on, the UFC fight on Sunday. They're finding something else. I've noticed this over the years. For a cable news, for a 24-hour news cycle, these animals know exactly what to do in order to keep you, the people, from being informed. I personally, listen, I don't want to hear about yet another, some other fucking weirdo leftist with a problem with Trump. Y'all all have a problem with Trump. You're still pissed off that Trump was never supposed to leave Butler, Pennsylvania alive to you assholes. We get it. But there's real shit going on here that people need to know about. And people need to, I would encourage all of you, within the sound of my voice, I hope you share this out. And I'm being very, very serious right now, folks. Do not let up. Keep talking about this situation.
Spread awareness, man.
Please spread as much awareness about this matter as possible.
Talk to people, and not that are not in this bubble or that are, in the liberal bubble and the Democrat socialist bubble. Be like, did you know that they just come out with a report and there's 250,000 British girls at least that were raped and maybe killed. Were they some of them killed as well? Or were they all just rapes? Isaiah.
Rapes, murders.
Yeah, probably some murders in there, but rape, just rapes, and then some of them were extremely brutal, gang rapes, right? So
I am not going.
And 13,000 of the guys have
the details of those.
It's horrible. Weren't arrested by Keir Starmer and the liberal government, leftist government. You should just be like, did you hear anything about that? And just be like, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? And like, and they're gonna be like, well, really? Of course, they did not fucking hear about it at all, because it's not, because CNN's gonna be talking about the fucking White House UFC event for the next couple of days and Hogan's stupid joke. When there's things that are so much worse, and they claim to be feminists and claim to want to protect women and claim to care about sexual assault. The Epstein files and stuff, talk about that all the time. It's like, there's nothing to say about this. There's nothing at all that CNN or MSNBC want to say, or New York Times. Is it going to be on the front page? Should be on the front page. It looks like Isaiah said, and Galt I think it was Galt that whoever said that, tweeted that that there was like something very much akin to if not worse, way worse, to a fucking genocidal type war crime. Sexual war crime going on in the UK, but no, nobody's really too interested in it except for right wing experience, right wing extremists and fascists, and that's only people that care about stuff like that, I guess. Spread the word, man. Spread the word by person to person. Share it on your social media, because everybody probably muted you if you posted anything conservative. People need to be aware. People need to be aware of all the different arrests that happen or murders that happen because people are arrested 40 times and not put in prison. That happens all the time as well in the United States. So you should try to share that, man.
That's all I can say. I'm actually looking for, like, you had Vice President JD Vance go on The View, and again, same thing, like Vance, the very presence of this guy just discombobulates all of these, these leftist, these moron leftist women. And it's like, I found myself asking this question, especially as I watched some of the counter signaling. So Sunday you had like the big celebration, but you had people on the outside who were, like all these the same, like the usual suspect, white liberal, mostly women, a lot of, like twink men who were just
moaning their folky horse shit. Oh my God, that was so corny.
It was fucking embarrassing.
Stop it.
It's fucking embarrassing. Like, again, I don't want to talk about those. Whatever Bette Midler decides to do in the twilight of her life is really none of my fucking business. But the fact of the matter is we are dealing with generational evil. Well, yeah. And like I said, this could very well come here to the United States if it has not started already.
Oh, I think it has. I absolutely think it has. It's just a matter of degree. And again, America's a very different culture. It's not going to break down in exactly the same way that the place where Great Britain used to be has. Okay, it's gone to hell in its own go-kart, and so will America until people start thinking their way through stuff like this.
Exactly. Free Market and Firepower said Rick Atkinson describes a rape case in Algeria in World War II after we took it, where the rapist cut the woman's Achilles tendon so she couldn't run away.
Oh yeah.
Hamas did the same thing on October 7th. Again, why do I'm going to sound like Asmund Gold for a minute here. Why are we living like this?
Well, some of us aren't. Even some people in Britain aren't.
True.
So I guess that goes to the locality of stuff like this. Again, when you have an overarching government preventing action on these fronts, well, nobody's going to do anything about it until it becomes explosive.
No.
You know what drives me nuts is there's always bullets for like, the Charlie Kirks of the world, and never bullets for like people like this, man.
Amen.
See, I would hope it never had to come to any of that.
Well, I do too, but here we are.
We're at that point. And
UK is at that point for sure. I think.
Let me put it this way. I personally am not at that point. I'm content to sit here and watch out the windows. That's where I'm at over all of it. I hate to see it coming. I hate to see it happening. I know why it is. None of it had to come to any of this, and it's all, civilization ending foolishness. But I also have the great benefit of being at an age where I believe it or not, I understand it when old men come to the point of, fuck you brats. It's all your problem. See if I give a shit anymore.
No, I agree. I mean, I would like for it not to come to that either. I think it was all preventable. It was all totally preventable. And maybe the UK can turn it around and be like, all right, we need to start putting these people in prison for good, executing them, deporting a lot of them, seal up the borders. That would be great. But I don't know. How's that going to happen?
I wonder how many pregnancies alone are involved in the rape cases. Jesus. That's a demographic. That's going to be a distinct demographic.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the horror. Just
go imagine. Okay, anything you can imagine. None of it would surprise me. Nothing will surprise me now.
You have guys like Keir Starmer still running the country, and it's he's not going to. Well, he probably won't face anything. He might resign, and like maybe this will make him resign. Maybe that's not enough of a punishment.
Oh no!
And what's that going to mean in the big picture? Look at this. Who the hell cares whether he's in power anymore? Given what's already been done. And it's not like there's going to be some, white knight riding into Parliament or the prime ministership to suddenly save the culture. That's not going to happen. This is generational, like Isaiah says.
Well, I will put it like this. I like Rupert Lowe. Rupert Lowe over there. He's an MP, and he's the head of a political party known as Restore Britain.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is not pulling any punches whatsoever. He flat out said that some of these people need to be put to death. Flat out said that after that trial and conviction, they need to be put to death.
Well, we'll see how that plays for him in the next elections, won't we? In the meantime, Ireland's burning.
I have one last question I want to ask you, Billy, if that's okay.
Sure, man. What do you think?
As we begin to wind down, you mentioned something to me about how voting, the act of voting, the act of selecting a person to for a position is immoral. And I know you are very fervent about it. Perhaps I still have some programming to overcome, but I wanted to give you a bit to explain what you mean by that.
Thank you.
Why is, in your opinion, why is voting immoral?
I could approach that question right off the bat with a simple observation and assertion that nobody ever has a right to vote on anyone's rights. Is that a difficult concept? Or, I say something like that and people don't often understand any of the implications, and they often make up some, but I wonder if the clarity of that statement is not self-evident. No one ever has a right to vote on anyone else's rights. Now, I have run into sophists who will say, well, like, what about a jury who's voting on a murderer's right to live? Well, that question does not address the initial violation of rights by the alleged murderer. And not only that, when it comes to criminal actions like that, in that sort of an instance, I would vastly prefer the simple American freedom of being able to stand off to the side of something like that and point out that it's none of my business. So whatever you do, in terms of a police force, funding for that, taxation to fund for that, whatever you do, don't make me a part of it, because I don't want any part of it. Okay. And if anything like that happens to me, or if I'm ever involved in it, I won't force any of you to get involved. So it's a deeply principled understanding of what rights are and what human beings can and cannot do with them. And voting on rights is one of the worst things that anyone can do.
Mm.
And, I don't know what it would take to make this explicitly clear to a lot of people, but I've been arguing this for a long, long time, and very few people understand it. It's probably me. I don't know, but it seems pretty clear to me, the way it seemed to guys like Henry David Thoreau, right, in his sensible years, or what the heck, Thomas Paine, right? They've made statements that clear and simple. There is no such thing as a right to vote on anyone else's rights, and all electoral politics in this country is fundamentally that's what it is. We're voting for people who we want to violate other people's rights, all the way down to principal questions that are beginning to get asked now, lately in these years, like taxation. People are wondering about taxation in all kinds of forms, like property taxes. I've never heard a hue and cry against property taxes in all my life like I get to hear today. All right. So that question of whether or not people should be taxed goes to a vote. Now, that's wrong. Tell me how that's wrong. I've often said that I've tried this analogy. If I were walking down the street one night and I came across a bunch of people at the foot of your driveway, and they were plotting whether or not to break into your house and steal all your stuff, and they discovered the idea of, let's vote on whether or not we should break into this guy's house and steal his stuff. And if I were walking along and came upon them and they asked me whether or not I would want to cast a vote on something like that, I would calmly and cool them, let them know that they're involved in a criminal conspiracy, and they better fucking move along before I start shooting their asses off. That's how I conceive voting.
I mean, it's a very interesting concept. I mean,
it has large scale implications, of course.
Go ahead.
It has very large scale implications. Now, this argument can go sideways in an instant. For instance, when I point out the difference between anarchy and chaos and how some people confuse the terms, things like that. I'm talking about a self-ordered society of rational men who can manage their own affairs without resorting to the nonsense of government and everything it can come to. It's the easiest thing in the world to start a government. You can pick up a phone the day after one collapses and start another one right away. It's the hardest thing in the world to be free. And this goes to, the broad outlook, people who believe that I have sort of fairyland idea of what humans are. No, rational people are identified. We know how they live. They don't live like we're living now. And I contend that government is instrumental and fundamental to the destruction of and decay of American culture to what we see today. It wouldn't be this way with, I could use a gradation. It wouldn't be this way without this much government. Well, it wouldn't even get headed this way with no government at all.
So what do you propose? I mean,
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well,
no, here's the thing about that. And I'm sorry, Isaiah, I don't mean to be snippy, brother, man. That's not what I had in mind. It's just that I had a realization about that very question relatively recent in my life, maybe 10 years ago. I identified the premise of at the bottom of it, which is that, okay, and I've been hearing it all my life and never really knew how to properly deal with it. The premise of the question is that I myself should come up with a plan to run society. No, I'm too busy living my life. I leave that sort of shit to the communists. Thank you for laughing. That means you understand me, I think.
But Billy, I'll say this: how much of your life could you live the way you live it now, without society and infrastructures and everything in place? A grocery store. I mean, do you live off the land? Do you like make your own food or farm your own food? Do you hunt your own food? Do you fish? Any of that? Did you build that bookcase next to you? Did you build that microphone? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand the question. No, I contend that government is actually necessary to none of that, and that men free in a division of labor economy would produce bookshelves for which I could trade dollars instead of eggs for a horse, right? The government is necessary to producing none of those values, and we could do it ourselves without that. The premise of that question is that we have to have government in order to produce a bookshelf and a microphone and a recording deck. No, that's not true. Government,
but you might maybe not, but maybe you need government or something like that to, and I'd like to hear what it is, to like keep like a horde of 40 guys or whoever to come over with some guns and just take that shit out of your house and just be like, what are you gonna do about it? You got a gun? We got guns too. So I mean, I don't know who's gonna do that for you. You know what I mean? Like, so these are the kind of questions that I'm not sure what the answer is. Like, do you have a posse on hand at all times, and hopefully a bigger posse doesn't come and take your stuff?
No, I don't, and I don't live in fear of that.
Okay.
And even to anyone else who does live in fear of something like that among rational people, it's not my problem, and you don't get to bill me for it. Okay. Whatever you do, whatever your problem is, you don't get to force me to help you pay for it.
And we could have learned. We definitely could have learned a lot from that perspective, at least.
I definitely think it goes.
I mean, look what
taxation goes too far. No, I agree. Yeah, they definitely go way too far with taxation.
What were you going to say, Billy?
No, I said, I mean, look what they're billing us for now. They got all ridiculous. These problems, and they're billing us for every one of them. Victimhood was the coin of the realm for at least two generations that I know of.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for. Okay. So you steal enough of other people's money to give to victims. You're buying victims. Suddenly they're going to appear. You're growing victims like a hothouse culture again, right? And Congress is going to keep appropriating. You understand the whole political and ethical dynamic of this. You know where it's all going. You get what you pay for. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's it, and that's where we're at right now.
My moral premise against one of my moral premises, the deepest principles against socialism is, I don't confuse society with socialism to begin with. To me, those are two different things. Mm-hmm. To me, my society is voluntarily chosen. It's the guys who I go play in a band with. It's the people I choose to work with or who choose to work with me. There's no force involved in any of it. Mm-hmm. None of it. This is all voluntary, and this is the way rational people live. And I remember a time when America, despite FDR, who'd been chipping away at this for 30 years until Johnson, I remember an America that was a lot more like that. And people were a lot less self-conscious in public, like some of the rutabagas we see raised today who can't like talk to a person at the door because they had to share rational values together and trade for them in order to sustain their lives. They weren't laying around sucking on the government, which means us, to pay for it. I don't care what anybody's problem is. They don't get to force me to help them solve it. And that's the root principle under this thing that's happening, which is, people argue about a representative republic. Well, I got nothing to say to that. Look at how it's actually functioning and what it's doing.
Yeah, you got a point. Well, Billy, I appreciate you coming on with us tonight, sir. This has been a blast. You are more than welcome to come by whenever you want. What are you anything you're working on right now? Any big projects?
Well, I've always got 3D work going on here at the desk. Lately, I've been studying the new Lincoln, right, to get the hang of that thing. It's a pretty cool machine, and it's going to need some love, but I'm going to save it. That's that. I'm not writing anything at the moment. You see me snipe here and there at X, but I'm paying attention. I'm trying to pay attention to a lot of it. I'm watching a lot more than most people think, gauging by what I post. And I've been at this a long time, man.
You have.
I think I've been getting. I might be getting a little tired.
Well.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We were glad. Thank you for coming on. And listen, I'm glad to have some elder sages here to help us younger gentlemen navigate through all of the foolishness. So Billy, thank you again for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Nino.
And just hit me up whenever you want to come back.
Thank you, brother, man.
All right, man. Take care. That's our show, man. Woo! What a night. What were you looking at? I know you were looking up at something.
Oh, I was looking at the World Cup scores. I think about to head off and watch this Argentina game.
Argentina are playing now?
Yeah. That was a heavy show, man. I'm really disappointed to hear this kind of stuff. But I think people need to share all that. Especially with the UK and also with what we have what's going on here with people being arrested many times and still killing people, and because they just don't they just put them on probation. Like it's just, if you care about anybody, if you have anybody who's a person in your family who could be vulnerable to it, which anybody technically could, any of us can be killed. I mean, you could be just sitting there looking at your phone, somebody stabs you in the throat, somebody can shoot you in the head. Somebody can push you down the fucking. I mean, even hopefully you're careful. But if you're on the subway track, somebody can, like one guy or two guys might be able to push you off in front of a train. Like anything can happen. Like nobody's Superman. But imagine if you're an old person. Imagine if you're a child. Imagine if you're a child that that's in your life that you love, like your niece, nephew, your kid, whatever. Your mother, your father, who could be elderly or small or whatever, and then you got these people out there who, the police or the DAs and the Soros-backed leftist DAs and judges and stuff say, oh, we got to let them back out and put them on probation, give them a chance again and again and again and again and again until they finally, decide they got to kill somebody because they need to be put away. They need to be put in prison. Like they're asked. It's like a cry for help from these people. Like they're totally lost and shot.
I've never seen anything like this in my life, Nino. I've been, to watch the depravity just keep getting ratcheted up and up and up and further. It's just it does something to you. Like when you watch all this stuff happening and you're like, these people genuinely want you. They genuinely want to immiserate you to the point where you look only to them for salvation. It's the most abusive shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to reduce your entire world to ashes, all just so you will beg me to help build everything back up. Yep. That's what we're dealing with.
Vote these people out of office, man, and keep them away from power. Keep them, keep them. Remember what they did. Remember their ideology. Vote to get rid of their ideology in schools. Stop funding their colleges. Like really, you got to reject their cultural, nonsense, their indoctrination. Yeah. Because it's what it does to societies. It destroys them, and puts our kids at risk, or women at risk, everybody at risk.
I'm going to share this last thing before we go. Libs of TikTok, Kaya Raychik, shout to Libs of TikTok, wrote this earlier this afternoon. The UK rape gang inquiry report just dropped, and it should make your blood boil. We talked about this earlier. At least 250,000 young white girls were groomed, raped, trafficked, and tortured. Perpetrators followed consistent tactics of befriending vulnerable girls as young as 11 with gifts, drugs, and alcohol before subjecting them to group rapes, violence, blackmail, pregnancies, forced conversions, and trafficking. 3, UK institutions, including police, social services, schools, the NHS, and politicians, catastrophically failed victims through denial, ignored reports, criminalization of victims, destruction of evidence, and prioritization of political correctness and fears of racism accusations over child protection. My comfort, these people's comfort was worth more to them than the protection of children. Number 4, 87 to 95% of convicted perpetrators in group-based child sexual exploitation cases were Muslim. It was predominantly Muslim Pakistani gangs. They operated across 149 local authority districts. Groups from Somali, Iranian, Syrian, Turkish, and other Muslim origins were also involved. 5, and finally, the Muslim perpetrators operated under an honor and shame-based clan code that treated non-Muslim girls, especially white working-class girls, as property available for sexual use. Girls were told that they're white trash who deserved punishment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are dealing with generational evil. Generational evil. And we are going to shed as much light on it as possible here on Apostate Radio. That's our show tonight, folks. Greatly appreciate you stopping in and joining us for a couple hours tonight. Next Tuesday, because we're really enjoying Tuesday night format. It's been a blast so far. We have Mr. Swipe Right himself, Mr. Colin Wright, will be joining our fledgling podcast next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Truly an honor to have him on. I've known Colin for years. I met him at the Mines Festival in New York City several years ago. That's where actually I met Billboard Chris Elston as well. This is going to be a great time next week. I'm looking forward to having him on and picking his brain about the things that we're currently living through. But yeah,
come with your different questions for sex, biological sex, gender. Also, he looks into the ridiculousness of higher education, PhDs and theses and stuff, and how ridiculous and unscientific they are.
Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of good stories, folks. So, subscribers to my X channel, if you have any questions that you want to ask Colin, please make sure you get them into me. Please DM me. I will answer them as they come, and then I'll make sure that that your questions are asked on stream. So make sure you're listening. That's our show tonight, folks. We will see you next Tuesday. Thank you once again, and peace.